Hey guys, it's Hart. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a huge 10 game slate here on DraftKings. Going to be breaking it down for you guys, talking through it game by game, as well as giving my first early look core plays in this video. Make sure to stay updated with me on Twitter. Hit that like button and subscribe. If we get to 40 likes on this video, that'd be huge. Going to start putting these videos out there earlier and earlier in the morning for you guys to consume. Just breaking the game down for you guys. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Check out my prize picks video, which will be coming out in a little bit. We went 2-0 last night, so that's great there. Yeah, let's get into this slate breakdown. Quick little recap of my lineup. Last night, just a bad night. Cash 6 out of the past 8 days, and then kind of came back down to earth last night. I got a little too cute with my lineup here with Branham. I'm surprised he wasn't a little bit more owned there. If it was like a 20 and 30 point blowout the whole game, I think it got to like 40 points in the fourth quarter, and Popovich played the whole team. Branham had 27 minutes. I think Bates Diop here had 18 and he started. It makes no sense. Mamu Smash, he played 25. Like the minutes on the Spurs made no sense. They're all pretty chalky besides Branham. And it was just frustrating there. He shot like 1 of 10. Monk, of course, extremely low ownership. They get blown out. Who would have thought? Before that, he was seeing mid 20s, even high 20s. He was going for like 25 plus fantasy points. 14. Yeah, Tatum was okay. Base Diop, obviously not the best. Mamu smash. Jalen Brown, okay. Bogdan, foul trouble blowout there. And then Jalen Williams, pretty low owned. He had a pretty solid game there for almost 40. So yeah, it just wasn't the best. I got too cute. The winning lineup was pretty, it was like the kind of like chalky optimal way, which was Derek White, Levert, Bay, Bagley, J Val, Cole Anthony, Kawhi, Capella, Nate or not Nate, Neil here, Trey Young, but then Bay, Denny, Mamu, Trey Jones, Bagley, J Val. That was pretty much the optimal build. J Val, I mean, really, the dude was playing the whole fourth quarter in a massive blowout, like a 40-point blowout. It made no sense, and the Spurs guys were all getting arrested. All the like second and third string Spurs players were getting arrested. It made no sense. So yeah, moving on to this 10 game slate here. Starting off with Denver and Washington. Great matchup here for Denver. Washington coming off of a back to back. So there is some blowout risk here, definitely, especially if there's no Kuzma. So I do love Jokic. It's kind of the same thing. Jokic and Murray is the same thing as Embiid and James Harden for me. Like I love Jokic. I love Murray. I think at their price tags, they both look fantastic here in this matchup. Jokic has actually been a lot more aggressive recently in terms of scoring the ball. 12 plus shot attempts pretty much every game since that Toronto game at the beginning of the month. When I played him, and he got 48, and he shot the ball 8 times. But after that, he's gotten shot in it 12 or more times every game so far. So yeah, it looks like he's going to be, continue to be super aggressive. They have not been doing well, so I still expect him to be aggressive. So I really like him. I really like Jamal Murray here. He's just been super, super solid and consistent. So I like both of them. If you want to gain leverage on the field, you can definitely play both of them together. Wouldn't mind that strategy. In terms of the secondary options, Gordon, Porter Jr., KCP, Brown, they're all fine plays. Like if you land on them, sure. I mean, I guess Gordon would probably be my favorite to land on, but at the same time, I just don't really find a need to unless you kind of land on it in your lineup. Really just prefer Jokic and Murray. On the Washington side, obviously the big news is Kuzma. If he's back, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on Kuzma if he is not on a minutes limit. But if he's out, once again, we could look to Beal and Porzingis. I'd prefer Porzingis. Um, Denny off the bench would look pretty solid. I would be surprising to see how many people chase him. He only shot this ball 6 times, but scored 15, got a double double, 15, 10, 3, and 2 steals, 37 fantasy points. But that's kind of the production he could definitely put out. That was kind of more of his like ceiling there, but anywhere from 25 to like 40 fantasy points if he's doing very, very good. So Denny looks pretty solid there if there's no Kuzma. Kispert got a price bump, but he is just god awful, super, super score independent. So don't go there. Gafford, I don't mind going to Gafford there. It's just the foul trouble, right? Like if you could stay out of foul trouble guarding Jokic, he should see mid 20s, maybe even mid to high 20s. He looked okay. Monte Morris is definitely worth a dart throw there. Had 30 fantasy points last game, but he's kind of floating between like 15 to 30 fantasy points depending on how he's doing. And that's about it. It's really just kind of the main three. If Kuzma's out, then it's the main two plus Denny that I have a lot of interest in. Moving on to the Knicks here. On the Knicks side, we have Randall, 9,300. Not the best matchup. but he's obviously coming off of probably his career high there, I think 57. So he looks decent as like a very solid contrarian spin up against Miami. Brunson, I do like Brunson at 7,300. He should be super contrarian as well, coming off a very solid game there, double double, 23 and 10. The rest of the team, kind of like Denver, they're just solid secondary options. Like sure, if you want to land on it quickly, I think he could get you there, but I just don't love that price tag. Would prefer him down at the low 5K range. Same thing with Josh Hart. Don't love the price tag. He's been playing about 30 plus minutes pretty much the past month. So, I mean, he looks decent. Obviously, he can have some ceiling games, but it's just you don't feel great at the price tag 6,100 for quickly and Hart because Barrett and Randall assume they're all the usage is just through them. Barrett, or excuse me, Brunson and Randall, not Barrett. Barrett is just super up and down. The minutes are either good or they're either bad. So for that reason, he makes for a fine GPP play. Should keep his ownership low, but I just don't trust it. And then Mitchell Robinson, I do like him. It's just will we see the minutes? He just hasn't been aggressive shooting the ball recently. Um, yeah, he just hasn't been good. So I do like taking a shot at him at 4,600. We know he is like 30, even 40 plus upside if he's doing very, very well and getting some blocks. And that's it. I mean, sure, you can take a shot on Hartenstein. He's been actually pretty solid as a backup center. But moving on to Miami here. On the Miami side, we have Jimmy Butler, 8,400. He looks decent. I think Bam looks pretty solid here and a good matchup here at center. He's coming off a few very solid games for him. Tyler Hero, coming down to a price I do like. We'll have to wait and see. And then the rest of the team, Martin's questionable. If he's out, it's just some more minutes for a guy like Strus. Kevin Love, 4,000, coming off a decent game there. Kyle Lowry's questionable. If he's out, it's just more minutes for Gabe Vincent. And then Victor off the bench. I would really, really like him if there's no Lowry. And if there's no Martin, I think it'd really help Victor out as well. They're going to need some scoring, some energy off the bench. It could look to Victor. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind for these two guys there. Moving on to Indiana and Toronto. Big news is Halliburton. If he's out, if he's in, I really just prefer getting to Turner and Halliburton. If he's out, Turner still looks pretty decent, but then we can start considering guys like Nemhard. TJ should come off the bench, 5,900. I'd still like him. Matherin, they did start him last game, which was super interesting. I prefer him off the bench, but if he starts again, I guess he's fine. And then like the wings, Nawara, he only played 20 minutes now that everyone's back. Naismith only played 17. I mean, he's super foul prone. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he should see like mid to high 20s. But if he's in foul trouble, obviously it's hard to pay it off. I mean, Duarte could be back as well. So not much to like unless there's like really a Halliburton out. On the Toronto side here, Pascal, 8,800 in a great matchup. He's actually been doing better recently if you haven't noticed. So I think he looks pretty solid. I do like Van Fleet a good amount here. 38 minutes is pretty much his average. He's been actually pretty decent as well the past few games. So I do like both of them a lot. Podol's coming down to a realistic price. I don't mind taking a shot on him, but still not the best price tag on Podol. Scotty Barnes is questionable. If he's out, I would assume they just move Gary Trent into the starting lineup. I think he'd be my favorite play there, even though super scoring dependent, but it'd just be more of the secure minutes for him. So I think he'd be my favorite play there at 5,200 if there's no Scotty. If there is Scotty, it's one of those things where Podol, Barnes, and OG are just strong secondary options. I still prefer getting to Van Fleet and Siakam, but they're definitely in play. They all have the ceiling. And if obviously Scotty's out, I prefer getting to Gary Trent. And then we could look to like a Boucher off the bench who would see anywhere from like 12 to 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more. You could definitely take a dart throw on him. And then maybe a guy like Will Barton sees a few extra minutes, but I don't think you need to go there. Moving on to Golden State and Dallas. On the Golden State side, Steph is still a little bit too cheap for me. Same thing with Clay. I do like both of them. Draymond's cheap as well at 6K. So I do like these Golden State guys here against Dallas. Poole, I mean, he's at a decent price tag, but still, just it's hard to get into him with Steph and Clay there. Kevon Looney, I guess he looks okay. DiVincenzo, Kuminga. I mean, all these guys are fine. I'll keep mentioning Lamb as like a very cheap value play, but right now it's really just kind of the main three guys for the Golden State side, and that's it, depending on those injury news. On the Dallas side, questionable is Luka and Kyrie. Obviously, if both of them are out, there's huge blowout risk. You want to kind of load up on like a Josh Green, a Jaden Hardy. They've come back down to earth with their price tags. They'd both be super chalky, but very, very, very good plays here because they'd still probably get blowout run. You could also look to like a McKinley Wright who would see probably around 20-ish minutes. He'd be an okay value play there at 3,300. Maybe they got weird and put in Frank, but I don't think you need to go there. So yeah, Obviously, that's the big news. If one of them plays, you can definitely get to one of them as a spend up. But there is some blowout risk here. But that's about it. Christian Wood has been doing better recently. If you want to take a shot there, minutes have been up. So yeah, I'll throw that out there. It's just kind of the news on Kyrie and Luca there. Moving on to the Bulls, we got a rematch of the game that happened 2 days ago. But yeah, Embiid 11-7. Price tag is slowly getting up there where it's like it's solid. Like he's a solid spend up play. Harden questionable. If he plays, I think he's super, super good. Coming off a game where he played 47 minutes, did not shoot the ball well, 2-17 before that 4-15. So he's been struggling shooting the ball the past 2 games. So keep that keep that in mind. But I do really like him here against the Bulls as a spend up play. If he's out, they'd probably start Maxey in place of him, or excuse me, Melton in place of him. Melton would be a solid value play there, 5,400. A guy that can kind of do it all, and he's very, very solid at getting steals. As you can see here, 2 games ago, 4 against the Bulls last game. He looked good, and then Maxey looked pretty solid there, 6,900. It'd be more of a bump for a guy like Harris as well. Maybe a little bit of Embiid, and off the bench, we'd probably see some House, some Milton, some Paul Reed, some Yang, some guys. I don't think you need to take a shot on. I'd just stick with the starters. Moving on to the Chicago side. For Chicago, DeMar, Zach, Vooch, all fine. They're all going to be contrarian plays. If I had to get to one, it'd probably be Vooch. He's actually coming off a very solid game there. It did go to 2 overtimes, so that definitely helped a few extra points for these guys. But yeah, they look like strong plays, still real standouts. In terms of value, Pat Bev, I guess he's coming back down to earth in terms of his price tag, so I don't mind taking a shot on him. Pat Williams, kind of the same thing. They're definitely playable, but no real standouts to me. Moving on to, or I will mention Kobe White. He did play high 20s. He could definitely get you there if he's shooting the ball well. But yeah, moving on to Houston here. Good matchup here versus Memphis. KPJ looks okay. Green. There's no real standouts to me. I mean, they all look fine. They're going to start these 4 guys: Porter, Green, Sengun, Smith, and most likely Martin. I still think Martin would be my favorite. Seen around low 30s, 5,200. I think there's some solid upside there. But yeah, I mean, Sengun looks decent. It's just the minutes, right? They're not the best on him. They're low 30s. Green and Porter are seeing the best minutes, but they're kind of priced up about right. Moving on to Memphis. John Morant is most likely back. He's going to be playing off the bench, or he's going to be started. We really don't know, but for that reason, it's going to be hard to get to really any of these guys. I mean, Tillman probably looks the best in terms of price tag. His role really doesn't change. But everyone else, it's a huge, huge usage bump with John Morant back. I mean, they're still playable, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if Ja's on the minutes limit or not. If he's not, I like taking a shot on him. But if he is, or if he's playing off the bench, it could get a little dicey. The Spurs, we have the Spurs again, which sucks against Milwaukee. Their whole team's questionable. It's just more one of those wait and sees because if they're starting 5s back, I feel like Keldon Johnson's back, Vassell, Collins, Sohan are all back. No real standouts to me. Wouldn't love the price tag in any of these guys, and it's super, super tough matchup. So right now, it's just looking like a stay away from the Spurs side. Milwaukee side, you just pray to God this game stays close. If it does, I love Giannis. The rest of the guys, sure, you can take a shot on Bobby Portis off the bench, but it'd really just be honest for me, and it's just we have to wait for that Spurs news. It really decides the whole slate. Moving on to Atlanta and Minnesota. Fantastic game environment here. Really, really like this. Trae Young, 9,400. Price tag really hasn't changed, so I like loading up on Trae here against Minnesota. I believe they played the other day. Yeah, they played the other day. He went for 59.5, 41 real life points. So I like Trae here once again here. I like Trae once again here. Capella, I don't mind him. It's just the minutes, right? Like he can get you there in those minutes. Got 41.5 last game, but he's only seen low to mid 20s, and it's just hard to trust that even at his price tag. So he's just a super, super risky GPP play. Bogdan, he did start for DeJounte Murray. Obviously, that's the big news. If DeJounte's back, it's really just going to be Trae and DeJounte for me. Sure, you can take a shot on these secondary guys like a Capella, like a Bogdan, like a Hunter, Collins, a Okongwu in tournament settings. But there's really no need. But if he's out, obviously, they started the last game. Bogdan, he got in foul trouble. The game blew out. But if he starts again, he looked really good. I actually prefer him coming off the bench, just being super aggressive. But yeah, I think he'd be very solid play. Hunter would be more of a solid pivot play from the chalky guys. Same with Collins. Sadiq Bey and AJ Griffin would probably pick up more ownership, just depending on what happens with the DeJounte news. So definitely keep an eye out on that. Moving on to Minnesota side. There's potential that Cat is back and Anthony Edwards. If Anthony Edwards is back, not on a mid supplement, I like his price tag. Even if Cat's back, because Cat would probably see around 20-ish minutes. We'll have to wait and see. But with those two guys potentially back, really takes out all the secondary options like a Prince, McDaniels, Conley, Anderson, even a Gobert. So right now, it's just more of a wait and see of what happens with the starting lineup there. Moving on to Portland and Utah, great game environment here for Portland. No Grant, no Simons, so Dame, it's going to be hard not to load up on him against Utah. Fantastic matchup here. Expect Dame to do super, super well with no Simons, no Grant. That's option 2 and option 3 gone from the Portland side. So people are going to step up and score. It's going to be Dame. Also, like Nurkic, a good amount here. You know, the minutes haven't been great, seeing high 20s, but he's coming off a huge game against the Clippers. We know his massive upside, and we do like targeting Utah's bigs with the opposing team's bigs. So I like Dame. I like Nurkic. I think they're both in line for huge, huge games. Trent Watford should start, or Trendon, excuse me. He should start 5,300. I think he's an okay play. Cam Reddish, Thibault would probably start alongside those other guys as well. I think they're fine plays. You know, I'd prefer getting to Reddish. He's a little bit better of a scorer, but they're both there. And then off the bench, they'd probably play a little bit of Sharp, a little bit of Little if he's actually good to go. I guess he could take a shot on Sharp, but I expect big minutes for these Portland guys, hopefully, in this matchup against Utah. On the Utah side, we have Markkinen, 9,100. Questionable if he's in. I think he's a very solid spin up play there. No Clarkson, no Sexton still, so we'll still get Markkinen, Tucker, Kessler, Olenek, and probably Agbaji in the starting lineup. And then off the bench should be Dunn, Fontecchio, maybe some Rudy Gay. Yeah, so right now, everyone's kind of priced about right. I'd prefer just getting to Laurie, but if he's out, obviously it's just more of a bump for all these other guys. No real standouts. I mean, Olenek's probably coming off of the best game of the season right there. Dunn's coming off a super solid game, but they're all priced about right. If I had to pick one, maybe it'd be Fonte, but it's just hard to trust him. Azubuike actually solid in 18 minutes. Maybe you could take a shot at him, but yeah, right now it'd probably just be Laurie, depending on if he's in or out. And then moving on to Phoenix and LA. For the Phoenix side, there is no KD, no Ayton. So we're going to get Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Josh Okogie, Torrey Craig, and most likely Bismack Biyombo at 3,700. Play 20 minutes. I think it's super tough, right? Because he started to play 20 minutes, but there's also Jock Landau who they could go to. They could also go small, but with Anthony Davis on the other side, I'm assuming they're going to put it in Biyombo. So there was definitely foul trouble there, but I think both centers are definitely firmly in play. I prefer Landau slightly, even though he'll probably come off the bench. But yeah, I think he's just a little bit better offensively compared to Biyombo. So right now I'm just going to put him in there, but they're both pretty solid plays tonight. And they both probably will be super chalky. But in terms of the secondary guys, it's just more of a bump for a guy like Paul. I do like Devin Booker a good amount. And I do like Josh Okogie here, 5'5". He should be more aggressive offensively. I think we can expect close to 30 minutes. We know his upside there. If he's hitting his threes and getting some steals, I think he could definitely go off there to 5,500. And so, yeah, I don't mind him. And then moving on to the Lakers, Anthony Davis is at a price tag that's super, super cheap there, 10-4. So it's going to be hard not to play him. Who else we got here? That's really it. I just don't trust the rest of the team. Sure, you could land on these guys, but it's really just going to be Anthony Davis for me. He absolutely destroyed the Suns back in, I think it was in late fall, early winter, when there was no LeBron. Anthony Davis had a monster game against them. So I like him, even though it's a little bit of a tougher matchup. So I'm going to throw him in there. I'm going to throw, I'll just leave Nurkic in for right now, I guess, in the center spot. And so, yeah, these are kind of the three main guys I'm going to be looking to target as of right now. Lillard, Nurkic, and Davis. Obviously, we're going to have to wait on that Spurs news there. There's a ton of information there. Same thing with the Minnesota side. Same thing with a few other teams. So a lot of news we kind of have to wait for. Hopefully we get that pretty soon. But yeah, those are the three early core plays. Make sure to check out my Prize Picks video coming out later after this. Hit that like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.